All right guys, welcome into another video. Today, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to calculate overhead into your estimates. And just so you guys know what that is, it's basically taking your business expenses, like how much your business costs. And you know how at the end of the year, they always say, oh, your overhead happens no matter what, your trucks, your marketing, etc. Well, imagine if you could program that into your estimate. So if you could do labor, materials, and overhead times your markup, well, now you're actually not be having a true profit besides a gross profit, where you then have to magically hope that overhead works out. So let's just start going through this video. It's gonna make more sense here in just a second. So first things first, we need to calculate your overhead. And so I already prepared an example on my phone for you guys, but I'm just gonna kind of walk through how to do this. But just remember guys, that this video is not just meant to be watched, okay? You're supposed to actually use it. So as I go through this video, pause, rewind, go back, actually fill out this stuff together. So that way, by the end of it, you have a real number that you can use. And if you're brand new, you're gonna have to do some projections. So first things first, you have accounting and legal fees. What are you gonna pay for a bookkeeper? What are you gonna pay your accountant? Are you gonna get sued? I just got sued for the first time ever and just had my concrete company this year. And I legally had to defend myself, even though it was over a hairline crack that I for sure did not have, or I did not cover in my warranty, because it was just a hairline crack. But because I live in Colorado and the law here is if someone sues you for over $15,000, I legally have to pay a lawyer to defend me. Total bullcrap. But anyways, that's why you account for certain things like this and overhead, because business does not always go according to plan. So I want to make sure that I remind you guys of that. A lot of you guys are like,
oh, I don't have any legal fees.
No, dude, you project legal fees. You say, well, if I did have like a lawsuit in the next 5 years, you want to count a little bit of money. So if something goes wrong, then you have it in your budget, okay? That's the difference. We have advertising. So think about ads, business cards, flyers, brochures. If you're gonna do a truck wrap, company apparel, anything like that, that still falls in advertising and marketing. You have bad debt. How many of your customers are not gonna pay you? I do 350 jobs a year. I've actually never had someone not pay me for an entire job, but even just recently, we did a $2,000 project. The homeowner was claiming that we did things wrong, and we ended up having to give them a $500 off thing. It was just this total thing. But anyways, that happens all the time, guys. If you work with people, people are not very fun, and it's not always gonna go according to plan. So how much of your revenue are you not gonna get because someone didn't pay? That's an overhead, right? You have bank fees. You have bonuses and commissions you're gonna pay to your team. You have cleaning and facility maintenance, right? You have computer and supplies. You have consultants. You have depreciation. So think about if you buy a skid steer for $100,000 today, you can appreciate that over, say, 3, 5, 7 years, right? So that's actual depreciation on your actual equipment. You have dues and subscriptions. So think about like softwares, for instance, right? You have QuickBooks for your accountant. You have Jobber, by the way, if you guys want a discount link in the description for your estimates, right? Equipment rental. You have your insurance. You have your vehicle insurance, general liability, umbrella. You have your workers' comp. I spend, man, I think just in my business alone, so I spend like $150K a year in insurance. It's ridiculous, right? So make sure you budget for that, because can you imagine if you do jobs and you just hope to make that money back? Very stupid. We have health insurance if you offer that. You have the interest on your loans. So remember that skid steer example that we had before, $100,000 in skid steer? Well, if you bought that at 10% interest over 5 years, you're probably gonna spend like $20,000 in interest. So you also mark that off on your overhead. How much interest are you gonna pay? Are you gonna have any license, tags, titles, registrations, right? Permits. Are you gonna have meals and entertainment? Are you gonna take your guys out for lunch? Do you take your customers out to lunch sometimes, right? You have miscellaneous. So think about things that you never even think about. I always have a budget for miscellaneous. Office furniture, office supplies. You have overhead vehicle maintenance, payment processing fees. Imagine if you guys are doing a business, $1 million a year, you allow your customers to use credit card, that's $30,000 a year, right? You have to budget for this stuff. This stuff adds up way faster than you think. Little percent here, a little bit of gas there. Like I'm telling you, when you actually do this, and if you've never done this before, you'll be shocked how much money you actually spend. You have payroll on billable time. Think about if you're gonna have a company, you bring your people in the morning and you do a 30-minute meeting every day. Well, 30 minutes times 4 for 4 people is 2 hours times 5 days a week. That's 10 hours a week. Times a whole year, 10 times 50, that's 500 hours. If you pay your people $30 an hour, that's $15,000. Did I do that right? It's gonna be a lot. Anyways, you guys kind of see what I'm getting at. Small things add up very, very fast. You have rent, right? This is an office. I actually rent the top floor of a bank. I pay rent every month. Repairs. We do small equipment, sponsorships and donations, telephone and internet, tool and safety, training, education, travel meals, utilities. You have fuel. In my business, I spend $80,000 a year just in gas. And then of course we have warranty. If you're gonna do $1 million a year in revenue, just think about how many times your crew is gonna mess up while you're not there. Even if you are there, it's impossible to be perfect. So you should budget for some warranty. So what you wanna do is you wanna total all that up. Let's just say in this business, this is a fake business. You total all that up, you do $1 million a year, and your overhead is $250,000. That's about 25% of revenue. That's very, very common in basically a construction business. One of the things that I just realized we didn't even talk about, by the way, was admin wages. If you have an office manager, an estimator, all of that goes in here. All right, next step. We want to find out how many labor hours that we have inside of our business. And labor hours is the amount of hours that we have that are productive on a client's site. To find that, you take your number of guys. Let's just say this fake business, we have 4 guys. What you do is you multiply that by how many hours they work per week. We could say 40 hours. Then what we multiply that by is 4.2. This 4.2, by the way, a lot of you guys wonder why I do this. 1 week is 7 days. In a month, there's 30 days. So technically there's over 4 weeks in a month, if you guys did not know that. Then what you do is multiply by the number of months that you work. Say for instance, in Colorado, I only work about 9-10 months on concrete. But let's just say that this is like Texas or California, 12 months. Then what you do is total all this up. I already did this beforehand. 8,064 man hours. What this means is through the course of the year, this fake business has 8,064 man hours that they have available to basically use. Now here's where the magic happens. What we do is we take our overhead of 250K, we divide that by our man hours, 8,064, and what that is it equals $31 an hour. Okay, so what does that number even mean? Okay, let me try to explain this the best way that I can. So this $31 an hour, that's how much your business costs you every single hour that one of your employees is on a job site. So let's just say for one day, you have 4 guys times 8 hours each times your $31 an hour. If I just bring out my calculator here very fast, so that means that this business costs on average $992 a day. And keep in mind, the reason why I like it per hour, because a lot of you guys, all you do is you calculate this per day. What happens if you do 2 small jobs? Or what if you have 3 guys that work on one project and you send another guy to go do something else? The best way to do it is on a per hour basis. That allows for the most flexibility, the most accuracy, and then it's very easy to figure out what happens if you hire another guy and keep them busy and you don't increase your overhead at all. Well, then technically your overhead per hour is gonna go down, because this is with 4 guys. With 10 guys, or sorry, with 5 guys, that's gonna be about 10,000. So then your overhead per hour might come down to like 25 per hour. So let's just say if you are doing a bid and your labor and materials was like $8,000 for that job, and it's gonna take 2 days. And let's just say you're gonna send all of your guys there. What you do is you do the same thing, right? You're gonna have 4 guys there, 8 hours a day, $31 an hour, it's $992 a day. You're gonna multiply that by 2. Let's just say that you're gonna get, in this example, so for 2 days, your overhead is gonna cost you $2,000. So if your labor and materials is $8,000, your overhead is $2,000. Now what you can do is add your overhead to your labor and materials, then you apply your markup. So that way you know the exact amount of actual profit that you're gonna make on a project. And last thing that I wanna go over with you guys here is why this is so important. Imagine for a big project, let's just say a big pole barn, and there's no prep, right? The builder already graded it, they already put in base, rebar is already there. All you're coming to do is to pour. Well, you're only gonna use 1 day of your crew. You're just gonna show up and pour. So that means for that big project, 6,000 square feet, you're only gonna use $1,000, okay? That's nothing. 6,000 square feet, $1,000. Now imagine on the opposite end of the spectrum. You have a 200 square foot patio. It's this tall. You have to demo out an existing patio. It's all done by hand. You have to wheelbarrow across the side of the house. Very thick concrete. That job takes you 2 days because the demo is such a pain in the ass. So even though that job's only 200 square foot, it's actually gonna be $2,000, this times 2 for your overhead. And so that is why, guys, that's why this is so powerful, because it's based on the amount of time and complexity that something takes, and that's what you're charging back to your business. Because the longer that something takes, remember, we only have a limited amount of time to make up this number right here. If a job, even if it's small, if it's gonna take up more of this resource, meaning more of that time, then we gotta charge more for it. And vice versa, if there's a really, really big job and it barely takes up time, well then your overhead's gonna cost almost nothing. So I hope that makes sense. I hope this video was helpful. Also, let me know if you guys like this format where I'm kind of just going all straight in one video, no cuts, no edits, no nothing like that. And if you guys like the info, comment down below. I'll see you in the next one.